Howdy, my name is Harrison Welsheimer, owner and founder of MusicMunch, the brains behind music. I'm in a passing the mic session with Denver band Driftin Suns, so I've introduced myself and I thought I'd let these guys do the same.
Hello, I'm Christian Kerr. I am the lead singer and rhythm guitarist in the band Driftin Suns.
I'm Jaden Kirshner. I have a full-time career at Jimmy John's with benefits, and I also play the drums part-time for these guys.
I'm Garrett Curtis. I play bass and load the car and drive professionally.
I'm Adam Curtis. I play lead guitar and supervise the loading of the car.
All right, well, the reason I actually contacted these guys was because they've done a whole bunch of really hot shit in the last 3 months, and one of those things was the release of your album, Continental Breakfast. Oh, yeah. Where did that name come from for an album?
We had an idea for an orange on the cover.
It was more of just like a random thought than an idea. But
Yeah, I was just saying, like the sun, when you get up in the morning, you want to, I don't know, it's like a breakfast item, you know. It's got vitamin C in there. You know, you rise with the sun, you got to have your continental breakfast, man. So that's pretty much where that idea came from, you know. And it's also a little mix of, it's a little bit of everything, too. You know what I mean? It's not to one genre. It's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So.
Now, speaking of, you were mentioning, Christian, about the wide mix of influences on the album. Do you one of you guys want to go into depth on what he means, like when you're talking about? Because I've listened to it, and there's reggae influence, there's punk, there's just metal rock. Where did these influences come from?
Red Hot Chili Peppers for me. I've listened to them a lot, but to me, I'm hearing like, you know, Spanish jazz and a jazz funk influence from the drums, you know, and like classic rock, you know, and blues from Adam.
Yeah, I think like the first time I heard Christian playing guitar and singing, it was like a Kings of Leon meets the Doors type of vibe or something like that going on. And it was just like, well, we can build a band around this, and we were lucky enough to get Garrett and Jaden on board later on through the years, and I mean, it's been up and up since then.
That's something I was thinking about that really differentiates you guys, is you have a really unique voice. Like, it's really full, and yet you've got that incredible growl. Like, yeah, I mean, have you worked on that? Do you have a specific sound in mind when you're singing, or that's just a natural vocal thing you do?
Yeah, pretty much just kind of became the singer not by choice, but because we needed one. And if you listen to the beginning, I mean, we've always been musical. You know, I've always had like a musical family and everything. Both my mom and my dad were very musically inclined, so always growing up singing in the car, drumming on drum pads on the way to school, and so I think it was just kind of something that I wanted to do, and I also looked at it as a challenge. Because I could never really play guitar and sing at the same time. It was something I always thought was really hard, so it was something that gave me a challenge in the band, which I liked. And, you know, just over the years, you just kind of develop and fall into it. I guess when you first start, you're kind of always listening to the recordings and thinking, like, it sounds weird, you know, when you hear your own voice. So it's really comforting and awesome to hear that, you know, people enjoy it, so.
Don't be misled. He loves the sound of his own voice. That's just the way it goes. You know what I'm saying?
Like all singers, like all lead singers, of course. They wouldn't be there if they didn't.
Only around my family.
So, having said all that, how did you guys actually come together, the four of you?
Yeah, basically we were at a wedding, right? And Adam came walking up with the guitar strapped to his back with a shoelace, like he says. And he's smoking a cigarette, comes right up to my mom. My mom's always hated cigarettes and the smell of them. And so and she was like loving him and hugging him. I was like, all right, I got to meet this character here. He's got to be worth meeting. Yeah. And so we started playing there, you know, and then we invited him to come and join. We were trying to get a band together. It was just me and a guy that I played with in high school. And we started throwing together the Driftin Suns.
How many years ago?
We started in 2010, I think it was, originally. Okay. And then I'm getting to follow the little difference of opinions on how, like, where we wanted to go with our music, what style we wanted to do, and Yeah, and pretty much we felt kind of like anchored that we wanted to move forward and we wanted to do things. We wanted to play shows no matter what the sound was because we felt that was going to give us our experience in playing shows, you know. And he never wanted to do that and wanted control over everything. And so we basically just made a decision to leave him and find a new bass player. And so, well, and even before that too, we were dealing with a drummer. We had a great drummer, Jeff Strauss, and he had passed away. So we were looking at auditioning drummers, and we had gone through a whole lot of drummers and a whole heap of drummers.
First time I met Jaden, we were at I think a 311 concert at Red Rock. He came by to audition and he blew our minds away immediately. Just like we're like, well, this guy makes us just who we are, who we need to be. But he was on tour with another band at the time, so we had to bite the bullet and wait for a couple other interviews to go through with other drummers. I think we interviewed like probably 4 or 5 more that were, some were really good, some were okay, and but we're always kind of waiting for that first. Yeah, it was more of a personal connection than a musical one, really.
Yeah, basically we clicked instantly. I was actually late to that practice because we had so many different auditions with drummers that it was kind of just the feel wasn't there. So you'd end up like getting off work and you go to play with someone and it's just not there, you know. Timing wasn't there, it wasn't the right feel, and I showed up a little late, and I just remember Jaden was there, and where I sat was like right here, and the drummer was right here, and I just remember him just like making eye contact with me the whole time, and like we were known for like doing just like crazy like transitions, timing, tempos, and changes, and most drummers it would really catch them off, and they'd have a hard time, digging that, and so it was just like he would just do it on point as we did it. We wouldn't even tell him it was gonna happen. He would do it with us. So
it was still difficult.
Well, he did a damn good job, so he pretty much impressed all of us. We fell in love. He was honest to us, said he was going to go on tour because it was set up, and he went on tour. We still auditioned some other drummers, kind of like hoping we'd still hear from him, hoping we'd hear from him, and then finally one day Adam calls us and is like, so Jaden's ready to come audition again. We were like, he's in the band. He doesn't need another. We'll have him come audition.
I fell in love with these guys right off the bat, and it was kind of a bummer that I found them right before leaving for tour. But when I walked into audition, it was just love at first sight because the first thing they asked me was, "You want a beer, dude?" Yes, this is my band.
That's when he knew. The guy that we had auditioned to be a drummer, he had played bass, and we were using him for a while for a bass, and then he actually had some personal issues that caused him to get out of the band, so we were down a member again. And, at this point, we're just wanting to play shows, and it's like one thing after another. We keep getting stuck with different things that are happening, and I'll let Adam take over here.
I mean, we weren't, we were interviewing, and we weren't sure because Garrett's my younger brother, and I've always heard him practicing in his room. It's like, well, he's got the talent, easily, but how does he do on stage? And so we went and did a show at Toad Tavern, I believe, and Toad Tavern has like a 4-foot stage, okay? It's like, takes a little bit of effort to get up and down there when you're not playing a show. Well, first show we were playing, he just like rips his shirt off in the middle of a song, never rehearsed this, and jumps off stage with his wireless gear, and he's like pelvic thrusting at the first table that he sees, like out of nowhere. And like, well, yeah, you're hired, like, okay,
Yeah, if you watch the video, which is online, you can actually see him like jumping off, and none of us knew. We didn't rehearse it, so like he just disappears. Like when you're watching the video, you just see him jump off, and then you see all of us kind of look over, like, where's he going?
You got to keep in mind too that we lost our bass player before Garrett right as we were in the studio. We just went into the studio to start recording an album, and so this kid comes along and just he learned 3 songs and went in and recorded them in a matter of 2 or 3 days. And those are the ones that are on the album now. So, yeah.
In this album, you guys have several songs where, nice laid-back groove, and then before you know it, you're twice tempo, you double time. And the transitions are so, fluid. And it sounds like it starts with you, Jaden. So how did those concepts come to being? Because a lot of bands don't do that. It's usually one tempo for a song. So where did you guys come up with that stuff?
I can't say exactly. It's just, I feel like what a lot of musicians do is they get together and feel each other out, and we felt each other up, and that's just kind of how it comes up, because when we're playing and we're writing new stuff, or if we're just jamming, then I think we all like to push our limits a little bit and just try new things, whatever comes up. And so, you know, after the millions of mistakes that you might make, you're like, this is a fill I like, or this is a guitar fill I like. So other than that, I don't know. Just
I think it keeps people guessing too. Like when you do that, it changes it up, and it's like it's nothing that they haven't heard before, but it's how you did it that struck them, you know. So I think that if you do it, I think that as a band you can do whatever you want. That there's never something that you do and you say, oh no, I don't really like that. It's like, what can we do to make that sound good? If we're not feeling that, or if it sounds like it's not the right timing, let's make it the right timing. You know what I mean? Like if he wants that timing and it's not what we've been doing, let's all fall out with him and then come back, you know, and then we can make it sound good even though it wouldn't by itself, you know?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Because I went to college for music, and that totally happened all the time. It's like, are we gonna fight each other? Or are we just gonna let it happen? Let's just make this happen.
You know, Christian's always said, and we all agree that we don't want to necessarily fit in any type of one genre. Like I know every band wants to be as broad as they can, but we kind of have influences that are all over the place. And
Usually it comes down to rock, paper, scissors,
okay.
thumb wrestling, Indian burns,
Punching sometimes.
Whoever wins, and then we move on.
But you made a good point there, where so many bands, they don't want to classify themselves like, oh, we got classical, we got funk, we got jazz, we got rock and roll, we got metal, you know, and it's like, okay, that doesn't tell me anything. But for you guys, you definitely seem to have a focused sound. Like when I was listening to the album, it's not that every track, no, definitely doesn't sound the same, but there is definitely something there that is cohesive that you can relate to, and it's, you know, it's not totally off the wall or like, whoa, where did that doesn't fit. Yeah. It's totally cohesive that way.
Yeah, and I always think that, you know, that we were always trying to say, you know, well, we got to figure out like what our sound is and this and that. And I always think what you do is you do whatever you want to do, and if you truly feel it, and everybody in the band loves what they're doing, it'll show. So the crowd will obviously love it too because they can see you're into it. So it's not like you're trying to sell something that, you know, that's fake.
Well, that leads us to the next thing that you guys have done, which is now the album Continental Breakfast is being featured at the Center for Innovation at Metro State University. How did that happen? First, what is the Center for Innovation, and how is Continental Breakfast playing a role in it?
Center for Innovation is a program that sponsors entrepreneurship programs, students that are basically trying to take new ideas to the next level without having to conform to like the workaday business model. And our album's actually getting featured at Create at MSU, which is a different program that is basically an incubator for business concepts, sort of along the same lines that Center for Innovation is. But
you were talking about entrepreneurship, and that's definitely what we're all about. Like MusicMunch, that's about entrepreneurship, taking something you love and trying to make a living doing it, and that's what you guys are doing too. So there's definitely an entrepreneurship part of it. So speaking of which, your manager Angela definitely was huge in making this happen and helping you guys get into that, and also Bandwagon 4. Well, I understand she's your mother, correct? Mm-hmm. So talk about how she decided to take you guys on, 4 crazy guys, and like, yeah, let's make this happen.
From the other bands I had been in, there wasn't the same feeling as when I joined this band, you know. So, and I had known by the time I got in Driftin Suns, I had known, you know, there's a business aspect you have to have here, and it's, you know, most of the bands I've been in, there's been, you know, 1 or 2 people, you know, that are really pushing for that same goal of making it big or making a profit or doing whatever. And here, I got here, and it was everybody. So no, and yeah, I think I was
I'll drive the ship.
Exactly. And she came in and she said, "Okay, well, here's my plan."
I've had businesses with my mom growing up my whole life. She pretty much, you know, she sees something, she believes in it, and if it's something she truly believes in, she just puts everything into it. And so that's why I knew it would be perfect fit for us. Plus, it was family too, so there's not the trust barrier there that you're worried about. And you know, she's just no nonsense and go get her. So.
Well, and that leads to Bandwagon 4. Give us a feel for that experience.
We had done one previous Battle of the Bands with through Cervantes, which we wound up winning after 2 rounds, and that was kind of like our signature. Like, okay, we're like on the scene now or whatever, you know, in our own minds, you know. And after that, we were like, well, we're starting to get bigger shows, bigger audiences, and we got the opportunity to come do the Bandwagon 4 show, and it was, I think, even to get on board to make it into the competition, you had to be voted in. There had to be like 40 people online that would vote you in, and then you had a 1 out of 30 chance of winning, essentially. And I mean, getting to go to Central City, which we all like to go to anyway, and be there on our own, you know, performing ourselves was just a trip. All 3 shows were the most high energy. You really gotta.
I should clarify. They didn't just compete. They made it to the finals and threw down hardcore.
Yeah. We wound up taking second out of 30 bands, and we got to play with, I mean, some of the most talented people we've ever seen in Denver.
There's a lot of people that, you know, were extremely talented, but it's just all about the drive, like how much you push it, how many people you bring, and all that. So we're extremely like happy with second place. You know, that's huge to us. That is amazing. We were actually shocked, you know, like that was shocking to us, especially with the bands that we were competing against. We had our work cut out for us, so I feel like it was a huge feat, and I'm really happy with the turnout.
Well, you can think of it this way, because Bop Schism is going to London, and you competed against them. They got third, so you beat Bop Schism, and they're going to London this summer. So I think some big things are in play for Driftin Suns. You're on your way. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening, really exciting stuff, in the last 3 months, and it's all about momentum. Anytime you want to succeed, especially in music, it's about momentum. So where do you take Bandwagon 4, having your album featured at Metro State, putting the album out, the album release party? Where's this momentum? Where do you guys see yourself 6 months, a year from now? Where's Driftin Suns?
Our goal in 2013 is Red Rocks.
We got a bunch of ideas for festivals coming up that we're liking to get onto, and I think that's the biggest thing. Before we want to go on a national or international tour, we want to have a name from where we come from. I think that's very important. And I think that's the main focus right now, is just trying to hop on as many festivals as we can, trying to keep ourselves in the eye of the, you know, the media and everything going on, the local businesses in Colorado that are looking for local bands. So just try to get as much press as we can, and also not only just playing shows, but also involving ourselves in other band shows. You know, that's part of the job, not just playing them, but also like going and networking on nights you're not playing.
Well, it's like painting yourselves as not just, well, we're a band, but we're part of the community. We're leaders too, because
It's not just about us.
Right, exactly, and going out and supporting, that says a lot to everybody in the music scene. Is those guys are everywhere all the time. Not only do they play, but they support their fellow mates. I manage a band in Denver called Pedals of Spain, but I'm here with Driftin Suns because that's what we're talking about. It's about connecting and doing this together, because in the end of the day, none of us want day jobs. We want to play music. We want to be in the music business full time. And I totally agree. And you guys are on board. That's what it takes, is connecting with other people and forgetting the egos, leaving the egos at the door and just saying, hey, we can do so much more together.
We're lucky enough to be from Colorado. What the rest of the country doesn't get to see is that there's so much ingenuity and so much originality here that, I mean, they're just not going to know until, you know, the cameras start pointing this direction a little more. But not only the bands being involved with Castleman's for our CD release got us involved with, and actually with Bandwagon 4, got us involved with people like Canvas 40, True Professionals, Local Love, help me ever, Keep It in Colorado Music Buzz, of course, which is the rock magazine that every rock magazine wants to be, Yelp. I mean, the sponsors, the community at large, not just the bands, all have a greater goal, which is let's get some focus on Colorado and the talent that's out here, business-wise and music-wise.
Well, you heard it here. Driftin Suns, 2013 Red Rocks, and after that, the world.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. There you go.
All right, cool.